Mm-hmm.
let's move on here because I feel like I have to give
An apology.
an apology letter to BYU fans.
I
I'm
don't because
sorry.
I actually called them to win.
I'm sorry I picked you guys to lose. You guys are actually legit. You guys are up 21-0, 31-14. You almost let them come back. You almost did. You almost let Baylor come back and win the game, but you didn't. You guys are 5-0. Your quarterback's amazing. Almost 400 yards by himself. BYU's a good team, man. They're 5-0. And I have to say I'm sorry to BYU fans for picking the wrong team to win. You guys are legit. Passing the ball, you guys are very good. We'll see what happens going forward. 5-0 is very good, and like I said, I'm very sorry for picking Baylor to win the game. Now, I did pick them to score 31 points, and they almost did. They almost did. You guys did give up a couple touchdowns to some receivers, which has not happened all season long. But also, they won at SMU. You know what SMU did yesterday? They dominated Florida State. Now, Florida State is having a bad season. They're not a good team, but they absolutely demolished Florida State, and BYU won at SMU. I think SMU scored 66 the week before against TCU, which TCU just got done beating KU, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'd say I'm very sorry for picking BYU to lose. They were clearly the better team, and they're 5-0 for a reason. They're a very good football team, and they're sneaky good, man. They could make the Big 12 championship game. So I'm sorry, BYU fans. I'm sorry, Cougar Nation, for picking the wrong team.
Yeah, I had my prediction was to go with BYU only due to the fact I don't think Baylor is very good. And I thought that maybe it's not so much of a hangover, but it was more so maybe they're just like really hype. It could be one or the other. You either get a hangover or you're just hyped and you believe in yourself and you're going with a lot of confidence. And so I went with the latter. I said BYU is probably just really confident now because I felt like Kansas State really beat themselves last week. It wasn't necessarily BYU running the table. Now, BYU, of course, capitalized on every one of K-State's mistakes.
Every one of them, and shout out to them for doing that. But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying so far.
Every single mistake that Kansas State made, BYU capitalized on it, and of course, that resulted in the score of what it was last week. And so, coming into this game, I was like, well, I'm not really 100% sold on their offense, but I mean, when we had Brett Hammer on, he was telling us Red Slav is the kind of guy that likes chaos, and when there's chaos in the game, he thrives off of it. And man, I'm not sure I didn't watch the game because it was around the same time that Kansas State was playing, so I was not watching the BYU game. But it didn't look. I mean, I don't know how much chaos was going on when your guy is getting 21 points before Baylor even scores. I think this has a lot to do with with who Baylor is versus who BYU is. I know it might sound like we're not giving BYU credit, which is unfortunate. We have a small sample size of what you guys have this year, and but you're 5-0. I mean, you're 2-0 in Big 12. Take that for what it's worth. I definitely want to keep my eyes on this BYU team as the season goes, because right now, currently, they're the only undefeated school in the Big 12, and that should mean something.
I would say it's undefeated too. They're the only.
Oh yeah. I keep forgetting because they're a game behind because of the bye week they had.
I want to say one positive and one negative, and then we'll move on here to TCU and KU. The positive is that they're 5-0. They're the only team that has won 3 road games so far in the Big 12. And they've won all of them, and they're 5-0 overall. One negative they got to figure out is why they only scored 3 points after halftime. I mean, I know your guys were up big, but laying an egg in the second half almost got you beat, but you didn't. You won, but there's a little bit to clean up, man. There's a little bit to clean up if you're BYU. So shout out to them for being 5-0 and winning this game. Again, I'm sorry for picking the wrong team.